All right, guys, today we're going to go over how to get jacked and strong. We're going to be covering sets, we're going to be covering rep ranges, and we're going to be covering how frequently you need to be training throughout the week to get there. Okay? So, from what we know from the research, the number of sets needed to have increased muscle mass as well as increased strength is going to be 10 to 20. And that's going to be 10 to 20 per movement pattern or body part. So a squat, you could say, okay, that's targeting the quads, or you could say a squat is a squatting movement pattern, or the hinges would be working posterior chain, glutes, and hamstrings, or you could just say it's a hinge. So however you categorize it is up to you, but we really want to be in this 10 to 20 sets per week range. Typically, when I'm designing a cycle or a blocked program, we're going to start on this lower end of sets per movement pattern, and then we're going to move our way up to the 20 set range. And then once we get up to that higher number, we're going to do a deload week, which is essentially a week where we're cutting the volume in half, or sometimes anywhere from a half, 10% to a half, 50% is what we'll do. And then we'll kind of repeat this whole set range again with different rep ranges or different exercises. Okay, so 10 to 20 sets. Certain body parts are going to be different. If you're talking like biceps, calves, forearms, those don't necessarily need as much sets per week just because you're training them in other movement patterns. So they're really not needed as much. Some people don't ever train calves and they're totally fine. All right, reps. So reps is going to be different based off of our goals. If our goal is to get jacked and if our goal is to get strong, they're going to have different rep ranges. If your goal for jacked, I want to get jacked, it doesn't necessarily matter as much as we thought. Okay, so current research is now showing that to become jacked or to improve your muscle hypertrophy, you need to be doing 10 to 20 sets to close to fatigue. We find that around about 2 reps away from failure is typically a good spot to start when it comes to building muscle. And it's a lot easier to get jacked by doing higher rep ranges, and that's really like 6 to 10. That's more because it doesn't take as much out of you. If you're doing a heavy set of 3 or a heavy set of 5, it fatigues you and you may need to take 2 to 4 to 5 minutes between sets. But if I'm doing a set of 6 to 10 to 12, it's easier for me to repeat that bout in maybe 30 seconds to 60 seconds to 90 seconds, but you're cutting that rest range almost in half. So that's why we typically find that this rep range, 6 to 10, really almost to 15, let's just say 6 to 15, is due to the fact that I can get more volume in and I can get to fatigue quicker, but I can also recover and repeat that bout again. All right, now, for those who want to get strong, it's a little different because to get strong, you have to have the specificity of lifting heavy things, or the skill of lifting heavy things. So a 1 rep max yes, you need to be jacked to have a high 1 rep max. That's going to help you a lot, but you also have to have the skill of being able to do that 1 rep max. People say that that is a skill to do, and it 100% is. If you're not used to lifting things heavy and you're only training in this 6 to 15 rep range, and then you start going into 3, you're gonna realize, wow, that's way harder. My trunk has to work a lot harder to stabilize my whole entire torso to actually lift the weight. So for this, we find to be stronger, it's typically recommended to be 6 reps or less. But you can still make plenty of strength gains through the 6 to 15 rep range unless you're trying to lift a 1 rep max heavy. You need to spend time lifting heavy stuff. Okay. All right. So that's that. And now we're going to go to frequency. For frequency, we found that 2 times a week at least is important for making maximal gains. Right? You'll see some programs that have squatting every day. You'll see some programs that have squatting once a week. We find that at 2 times at least makes a difference, especially when we're talking about upper body pressing. That's going to be typically, you're going to want to do more work there. For squatting and deadlifting, it's not as much because those squatting and deadlifting patterns are very similar for some people. Some people can get away with doing 1 day of squats and 1 day of deadlifts because there's still the frequency and how similar those patterns are matches that. So this is the basis of getting jacked. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. Thanks.